You spent countless hours in the garage with your dad. Now investing in that old car and working on it with your son reminds you of him. And his legacy lives on. Fund your passion with a low-interest home equity line of credit from Bank of Blue Valley.
Oh, how are you doing, young lady?
How are you?
Good. I was just, trying to figure out when the date of the play for Frozen that your children are going to be in that is 75% sold out.
Yeah, I think it's like mid-August.
Okay.
All I know is that they're selling tickets. There were over 400 or some kids. I don't remember the exact number. That audition, they took 45, and both of my kiddos made it, and Devin is the lead.
No big deal. That's awesome. And then they perform at the local high school?
They're doing Olathe South, so it's an all-school district show. So what happened is Frozen, okay, let me get really theater geeky on you.
Oh, man.
Actual Broadway rights from Frozen, not Frozen Junior, Frozen, were just released this year. They said we're only giving it to one school district per state. So Olathe is doing something they've never done, and they decided to go all in on it together and do a summer show. And so every kid in Olathe was eligible, as long as they were school age, to audition for it. And they have over 56 schools represented or something like that. Something really big. Almost every school has someone that made it. And that doesn't make sense because if there's only 45 kids. I don't know. But anyways, it's going to be really awesome.
Well, speaking of that, when you think of the ground that Burns and McDonnell covers, I bet you one of the parents from each of those schools works there. And I bet Bank of Blue Valley does this well. But not only that, they lend to every area in the metro and across the country. So look at that. Everything just pulling together, like the panel coming here to come talk to us today.
That was a really good transition. You practiced that beforehand?
Yeah, you know what? I did. I only drank on Thursday and Friday. So without Saturday, my brain's working Tuesday.
It's going. That's why we don't host the show on Fridays. I do know that.
Oh man, I'd be lost. I'd be lost.
You remember when we first started the show, how much we used to drink on it because it was the pandemic?
Yeah. I mean, it was like you had a cocktail at 3:00. It was just normal. And then 5 weeks passed by and you're like, it's probably not a good idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's kind of summer. So I usually sometimes will drink at 3:00, but not as much anymore.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, 4th of July will be on a Tuesday and we will be off. But the following show will be a CEO show. So it'll be a one-on-one. But just like the CEO show, we have some CEOs here, and we don't think they came to hear us. I think they came to hear the panel.
Hold on. A lot of people are here. I'm going to say hi to all these other people first. Is that okay with you? Can I do that?
You are my boss. I do what you tell me to do.
Hi, Nick Paradise. Look what I got. Nick Paradise told me about this last week. I'm starting it July 1st. That's when he told me to start it. He said it's his secret to success. So better work. Elizabeth says she's excited for these great guests. We are too, Elizabeth. Chelsea said Scott Haven's making magic. Chelsea, what's my name? Skip. You skipped right over me. But Scott is pretty awesome. And we've got Toby. Toby says, check the Yeti. I don't believe Scott. Tell us what's there. We got a lot of people here. Lacey says, hello all. Hey, girl. Hey. And Dr. Katie Irvin says she's excited for the show today. Oh, look, Dan Smith. Oh, if you didn't see the cover of the Business Journal, Mr. Dan Smith, grab yours, grab a Sharpie, get his autograph next time you see he's right there on the cover. Tapped in. Congratulations, Dan. I was super excited.
Next gen business leader.
Next gen. And Nick says, boom, I owe you a copy of my new book. Need your address. You too, Scott. Scott's an afterthought. You see that, Chelsea? Just kidding. Okay. If you did not comment yet and you are watching, let us know who you are, what you do, where you're watching from. We're super excited. We do have an amazing panel today. I think this many comments speaks to the panel. You've got no magic without you, right? Okay, there we go, Chelsea. There we go. All right, well, let's get our panel going. How's that sound? Nobody's here for you. I mean, maybe me, but all right, here we go. Let's play this cheesy music you like. Put us on ladies first.
It's growing on you.
With 3 guests today, we had one that it's an city emergency taking care of it. So, Jennifer.
Hello.
Josh. And Nick. Hi, guys. Welcome to the show. We're super excited you're here. How are y'all?
Good. How are you?
I'm great. You guys look a little nervous because me and Scott have a lot of energy today. So I think you're going to be fine. All right, let's jump in. Jennifer, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
My name is Jennifer Rome. I am a mortgage lender and also the founder of a local nonprofit called the Giving Professional KC. And I got to Kansas City, born and raised here, never left, love the city, and never intend to leave.
So Jennifer, you've been on the show before, but doing the background, how does the professional career go to where you are today? Because you've been involved in a lot of different things, which helps you become a great kind of CEO of your non-for-profit and your business. But what are all those business things that led up to what you do today?
Yes, I have a very, very background. I actually spent about 10 years in the dental profession. I was a dental hygienist. And then about 13 years in the corporate world, both as a business analyst and eventually a project manager. And I would say I use my organizational skills and both that and my people skills to serve in the mortgage industry. And honestly, that's what I was kind of looking for when I made the change 3 years ago. I worked with a career coach and was trying to figure out how do I use all of these experiences and skills that I have to really start to craft my life around, or my work around my life rather than my life around my work. And so I did a lot of exploring and ultimately it led to the mortgage industry, and it's been amazing. And the nonprofit part of it was really just kind of a natural calling. We do a lot of networking in the work that I do. And, some people may love to golf, or they're drawn to maybe hosting happy hours. But because of an illness, I don't drink. Maybe a glass of wine here or there. So I wasn't drawn to that. And really, when I am not with my children and I'm not working, I'm drawn to service. And so I wanted to really build my profession with like-minded professionals. And I wanted to attract clients to me who are also philanthropically minded. And so it's just kind of been an evolution. And so pretty exciting. And now it just becomes a conversation piece. And I think I just naturally end up attracting the right people to help us continue to grow the nonprofit.
Which is called the Giving Professional, correct?
Yes, the Giving Professional KC.
And you started it with Megan Considine?
Megan Considine and Kelly Tate.
Fun fact, Megan Considine's been my friend since we were 19 and lived in Dallas.
I know. So
kind of fun that we end up both in Kansas City.
Yes, very cool. She's such a neat girl.
Are you guys do you have an event currently planned? I don't know.
We do. Well, so the format for our nonprofit, we basically try to attract like-minded professionals. So every month we organize a service event and we invite our members to join us in giving back to other existing nonprofits. So we've served 6 nonprofits so far this year. We kicked it off in January. And then we also host socials to, again, attract like-minded professionals. And then in October, we will host our 2nd annual Stronger Together event, where we will raise money for a local nonprofit called Brock Couture KC, who specifically supports cancer patients. All the funds stay right here in Kansas City. And our fund specifically will go to serve breast cancer patients specifically. I'm a survivor, and about half of our board is made up of other survivors. So pretty exciting things.
Amazing. Well, thank you for joining us again. I'm super excited to learn more. All right, Josh. Josh, first of all, you look like you're at a movie studio, or not a movie studio, but like, I don't know, some sort of like
Looks good.
Like a sports show, right? Like that's kind of what you look. You and Nick look like you planned this today. So, Josh, who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Yeah, my name is Josh Copp. I am the CEO of Project X Labs, and I was born and raised in Kansas City. I spent about 3 years traveling the country early in my career, but eventually gravitated back home. Project X Labs is an artificial intelligence software company that is being brought to the market here in about 2 or 3 weeks, and also the CEO of another artificial intelligence company called ATS Global.
And so how long have you been involved with artificial intelligence, and what are some of the industries that you got started in and the industries you've evolved into?
Yeah, I started in late 2016 in the artificial intelligence space, and different kinds of artificial intelligence, but conversational AI. So communication via email, via text message. And I was primarily in the automotive industry, working with large dealership groups throughout the United States up until about 3 or 4 years ago. Then we started to branch off into other verticals, and now we work in multiple countries. We work in pretty much any industry, any vertical, depending on the application and what their goals are.
Okay, so I have a quick question.
Absolutely.
So in my space, we talk a lot of AI, but what I find is there's a lot of people uncomfortable about talking about AI, or they just don't want to, they're either uncomfortable or they don't understand it. So can you kind of break that down, how you have those conversations when you go to like Thanksgiving with grandma and grandpa? How do you explain what you do, and how are you getting over that uncomfortable space where people are just like, nope, that's not going to happen, or nope, that's uncomfortable, or are robots, I don't want robots taking over the world. Talk about how you talk about AI in like layman's terms.
Yeah, you nailed it on the head. It's uncomfortable because it's unknown. People don't know about what it is, and the unknown aspect of it is really the part that you start getting into the Terminator and some of those other analogies. But when I'm talking to grandma, I tell grandma that I work in technology. But when I'm talking to your average Joe, it's really just a matter of how familiar are you with AI on a scale of 1 to 10. Is AI a completely new concept to you? And if so, then we just start talking about how really analogies and use cases are the best way to paint a picture for somebody. So to make it simple for them, hey, think about what this is, and here's how AI can make a difference in that industry, or in that world, or in your personal life. And so really kind of just putting it in their shoes or in their perspective to paint a story. So I used AI yesterday or over the weekend to generate additional words for my 2-year-old to learn. So my wife and I track all of the words that our almost 2-year-old is able to say digitally. We uploaded those words and then asked it to act as a speech therapist, and to come up with additional words that we could elaborate on to add to his vocabulary, and then also added 2-word combinations as well. So that's one way that artificial intelligence can just make things quicker for us in our everyday lives.
You are hilarious that you're tracking that. That's a lot. That's good job. What's your favorite AI thing you've ever seen that you were like, even you were blown away?
Project X Labs.
That's right.
Okay, give us an example.
I don't say that lightly, but when we come to market here sooner than later, we'll be able to kind of back up some of those claims. But Project X is now gives the human beings the ability to collaborate with artificial intelligence to solve real world problems. And so you're combining the creativity that human beings have with the speed and the intelligence of something like AI. And now we're actually able to solve real life problems, real business problems, real medical industry breakthroughs with the collaboration aspect of it. So it's pretty unique.
Have you seen the Victoria Beckham sunglass line?
I haven't.
I have not.
It's actually really cool because it's AR and AI combined. And actually it's been, they first launched it right there at the beginning of COVID. So very early on, I'm sure it's gotten even cooler, but where you try on the glasses virtually and then the AI suggests other things that can go with it without ever having to go into a store before you order them. And it was one of those first big combined projects with AR and AI. And so usually people, you're going to have to check it out. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that is really cool. And that's definitely some of the forefront technology that's coming out, and watching to how fast it's evolved in 6 months. When you think about the 0.0001% of people that have the highest level of artificial intelligence knowledge, they're having a hard time keeping up with how fast everything's evolving. So excited to see where it's going to go here in the next 6 months or so.
Josh, one quick thing back for the audience to kind of take some more real world stuff. Like when you first got started into it, you're working in the car industry. So how did AI work in the car industry? And then obviously you mentioned the last 6 months has been rocket ship, but to give a little bit more business examples, because the businesses.
In the car industry, this was early 2016, 2017. So AI wasn't being adopted as much by businesses at the time. Well, I want humans to do that. Now the stigma's changed a little bit, but for instance, at a dealership level, at a high volume dealership, our company works with the #1 Buick GMC dealer in the United States. They're selling almost 1,000 units a month and getting 5,000-6,000 incoming leads to their business every single month. And they've got a team of people that are following up with those leads. And AI can come in and help kind of filter out the 16-year-old kid building his dream truck online versus the guy that's actually interested, and move it further down the funnel so that the humans on the team can be more productive and they're not spending as much time chasing. They're doing more high value activities and eliminating some of the mundane and tedious tasks that go into their day-to-day. So hey, just wanted to reach out, let you know that your first service appointment's coming up. Wanted to see if I could help schedule you an appointment, all the way to, hey, there's a recall on your vehicle. We need to get you in. It's a health and safety concern and being able to do outreach at scale for the dealerships. To now what we're doing, everything from introducing the attaching of data, being able to query and ask your business anything that you want based on the knowledge base of information that your company has, to automating tasks, to I can set up to where I come in every single morning and I have an AI agent that's read every single one of my emails, summarized who they're from, what they said, and then based on everything that I had responded to and how I communicate, it'll craft emails and have them ready for me to proofread to send off in the morning.
That's the best advice I'm hearing anybody say is in business. If you don't see it as a job, like there's a lot of people that are scared for their jobs for AI, but if you see it as a tool to help your job, that's what I continue hearing in my space anyways. So
it has to be. And it's not as much as jobs are being eliminated as jobs are just changing.
Right.
What one job was a data analyst or a data entry rep, that person now has the ability to do other things and to take on more revenue generating tasks or take on more strategic thinking, and as opposed to doing some of the menial stuff. So yeah, there'll be some jobs that look a little bit different, but all in all, it'll help create more jobs at the same time because we're able to do more.
Awesome. Okay, I can't wait to learn more about what you do. Look, Janae says she's watching on LinkedIn. It's hot and it's humid in central Kansas, where the wheat harvest is alive and well. What's up, crew? Hey, Janae. Jennifer is excited to see y'all today. If you are just jumping in, let us know in the comments who you are, what you do, where you come, how you get to Kansas City. I don't know. All the same questions we ask everybody else. We want to hear all about you. All right. One of my favorite people in the whole entire city, Nick Giuliani. Who are you? What do you do? And how do you get to Kansas City?
Hey, thanks for having me on the show. I feel like this is my third time, and I'm still just as nervous as I was the first time.
Third time? How'd you get on here 3 times? I think you're the first third-time guest.
I don't know.
Congratulations.
Because I'm your favorite person in Kansas City, I guess.
That's right.
Legitimately, you are one of my favorite people in Kansas City. I'm not even kidding.
My background keeps getting better, so that's an improvement each time. So that's exciting. But Yeah, Nick Giuliani. I'm currently the director of sales at Dynamic Logistix. I've been with the company just over 5.5 years now. New role about 6 months. Got to Kansas City via St. Louis, where I grew up. Brother had been up here, I think, about 6 years after I graduated college. Middle of a recession, I was just like, please give me a job. Any job that has a salary and benefits and a commission. I'm like, I'll take anything, whatever. And so he made some calls, got me some interviews, and before I even got back to St. Louis, got the offer. I was like, hey, I'm moving here, and met my wife and not going anywhere. I absolutely love this city and happy to call it home.
So Nick, when you got started in your job, how has your business evolved to what it is today? Because you've been with the organization and a lot of things have come about. You've done very well in business, but how's your business changed, and what do you do to help people on the business side?
Yeah, so my initial, when I got here, even though I had 9 years in supply chain and logistics, it was a whole new sale. This was one of the first truly enterprise, completely business changing type software solutions that we were selling into manufacturers. And so for the first year to 2 years, my job was really focused on business development, getting people to kind of first and second base, and then working with the team to kind of get them closed. And then around 2020, I started to evolve into more of running the sales cycle, being the quarterback, kind of taking a step into being that enterprise kind of salesperson. And then as 21 came around, I started taking on more and more, call it team lead, where I was doing mentoring and interviewing and kind of helping with some business initiatives. And now I still do run my own sales cycles, but my new job is split into two kind of areas. One is focused around team initiatives, growing the team, helping with scalability, as well as helping the team upskill and get them to a point where they're running their own sales cycles more on their own and being more of the quarterback. So kind of doing three different things right now. But, we're on an absolute rocket ship as a company, and I'm excited to see what the next, years ahead look like.
So you're the Patrick Mahomes of your company.
I mean, yeah, sure. I'll take that. I'm not going to – anything compared to Patrick Mahomes, sign me up. So.
Wait, did you guys see where he was taking pictures like being an Instagram husband for Brittany the other day? That's my favorite Patrick Mahomes ever. I'll have to find it here in a second. Okay, I want to ask a very important question because I think this is I am obsessed with this part of you. Katie says one of my favorites as well. Love Nick. Nick, can you talk about I would guess that there's not one person in the city I can find to say something bad about you. Can you just talk about how you were able to craft such know everybody, right? You know everyone in the city, and yet you maintain this kind and caring good guy reputation, which I think sometimes more people the harder is to maintain. Can you kind of talk about I think that strategy, whether you're going to admit it or not, I think that's some sort of strategy to keep that reputation no matter what, right? That's a lot of emotional intelligence. So can you kind of talk about that?
Yeah, so I think when I first got to DLX, it was because it was such a new job. I was kind of head in the sand, head down. I was like, I'm just going to blow it out of the water as fast as I can and as early as I can. And when I kind of raised my head up, I had realized, I called this city home. I've been here 10 plus years. I love the community, but am I really doing what I want to say is being the person I want to be in the community? Am I giving back? Am I doing philanthropic work? Am I uplifting others? And I had to look myself in the mirror and say I wasn't doing enough. And so what I decided to do, obviously, was kind of, and Aaron, whether you know this or not, your teaching of LinkedIn back in 2020 and 21 really helped me understand the importance of this platform. And so then the shout out series came from that. And obviously I've spent, the last 19 months utilizing my voice on LinkedIn to uplift different businesses, nonprofits, women-owned businesses, founders, things like that. But from just the attitude perspective, I am so grateful for the life I have, and I am so thankful for everything I have. But I also want to remain humble, and I want to continue to drive not only awareness but advocacy for how amazing the city and the people in it that are doing cool stuff. And so I think it's a privilege to be able to take that attitude each and every day and just be that, spreading positivity or bringing awareness to really cool stuff. So, but I appreciate you for saying that.
Yeah, no, I think that you are, I'm still looking for this Patrick Mahomes thing. I think that you do a really, really good job of that in this city.
Aaron, are you blushing because that was a really good compliment Nick gave you?
No, it was really nice. No, I'm actually sitting here going, I need to do more speaking, right? Like I definitely heard him. Thank you very much. Here's Fred. Fred says he loves Drink with Leaders. He's looking forward to meeting you for coffee tomorrow, Scott. And I feel like, Nick, you're one of these people. You do a lot of networking like that. So how do you fit it all in?
Boy, that's a really good question. Time management is something that I think I value time probably more than anything. And so I reach out to a lot of people, and it's really just not over scheduling. So sometimes people say, hey, can we do coffee in the next 2 weeks? And I have to say, I can't do coffee in the next 2 weeks, but if you want to do a Zoom, I'm available 4:30 to 5. If you want to do coffee, my schedule opens up, this week and this week. So I try not to over schedule because I do want my focus to be on the people I'm meeting with and make sure that I am spending that time and being present and focused and not worrying about like, oh, I got to run to another meeting in 20 minutes or, oh, I overscheduled myself and I'm not really in that moment to get to know people. So I do try to make sure I space it out and just explain to people, like, if you want it to be face-to-face, it might be 4 weeks from now, but I'm happy to do a Zoom or a call just as like an intro conversation.
I love it. I want to show you guys this really fast. Look at Patrick Mahomes being the best Instagram husband out there, right? I feel like you're like a husband like that too.
Me?
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. I'm not my wife's the one that's really good at taking pictures.
Now, what does your wife do for a living, Nick?
She owns her own luxury travel advising company with a specialization in Europe and Morocco. So she's an entrepreneurial. She's amazing. So I'm very proud of everything she's done in the last 2 years.
Awesome.
And then one more quick question about your shout out series. You highlight a lot of people that traditionally wouldn't have been highlighted if not shine light upon them. So how do you find, I know you get a lot of referrals, but, kind of tell the audience a little bit more about, the businesses that you highlight, because they're not typically what you'd read in a lot of editorials of large businesses, really highlighting a lot of really great entrepreneurs.
Yeah, I think the biggest one is just, my own research. And the second biggest is definitely referrals. I have a pretty big circle of people that I trust. And if I'm going to get referrals in from them that I want to write, the series itself was just initially on founders. I was just going to write about different founders in the area and realize, well, that's kind of limiting. There's a lot of great leaders out there that just because they don't own a business doesn't mean they shouldn't get that light. And as I met with more and more people, it's like there were executive directors I talked to that said, yes, of course, money is important, but awareness was always second on their list of needs. And I was like, well, I can write about nonprofits. I can talk about your vision and, your mission and everything like that's a fairly easy one. And then because of Women's History Month back in 21, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to write about all these women-owned businesses. I'm going to shove as many as I can into 1 month. And was like, oh, there are thousands of incredible women-owned businesses. This is not just a month-long thing. And so that's continued to evolve. But I'm very, very lucky to have a circle of people that I trust, and they send over really good women-owned businesses or nonprofits or just leaders in general. And I look to those people to kind of help keep the funnel for, making sure that I'm highlighting like you said, the people that maybe aren't always getting the same coverage in the certain publications.
Elizabeth says she just met you last week for one of those coffees. Lucky her.
That was a fun
Awesome.
coffee.
Well, you're doing a great job, and I will tell you, your SEO is killing it because I was doing some research the other day, and your website is already coming up with people's names. So you're doing your back end stuff, which is what I know.
That's good to know.
Well, thank you for coming on a third time. Might as well just give you your own show at this point.
Hell yeah.
All right, look,
Coming soon.
Glenn left us. I love when people tell us they're leaving us, but he did love the AI talk. Thanks for being here for a while.
Glenn and
Glenn,
Josh
go back
would
to the
have
second half.
Glenn and Josh would have a long happy hour.
Oh my God. I can only imagine. All right, well, here's the thing. It's time for our Burns and McDonnell question of the day. You guys ready? I'm going to play this video, and then as soon as she's done, Jennifer, just jump into your answer.
Hi, I'm Sunitha Levin, and I work at Burns & McDonnell, helping advance telecommunications across the U.S. My question for today is, how do you manage your time, and how much is it worth to you?
I would answer it in a couple different ways. I try very hard to filter out things that do not bring me joy or do not bring business value. And then in my work, I prospect every day for business. And so I have a system that I follow. And if activities don't fit into that system, then they get lower priority in my day. So simple how I manage it.
Can you give us any insight into the system?
Absolutely. So I have a point system. So every day I need to earn 25 points in order to prospecting points. So those activities can be made up of coffees, events, phone calls where I actually have a business interaction with another professional that could be a referral source. And it's social media activities and other communication type activities. And so I'm very structured in how I approach it. So I start my day with social media activities and any sort of marketing communications. And then from there, I schedule out, kind of like Nick, I will schedule coffees, but I'm very careful about who I schedule coffees with, how often I schedule coffees, because the last thing I want to do is have back-to-back coffees and then not be available to answer client calls. And
coffees will kill you.
What was that?
Too many coffees will kill you.
Yes.
Right? Like
yes.
you can get down that coffee road. Okay, wait. How'd you come up with this point system? I'm obsessed.
Is it weighted?
Yeah.
It is not weighted.
All the details.
Well, it's not, the system itself is not weighted. However, there are activities that I do to kind of weight. Like if I have conflicts, I've got two coffees potentially, then I may weight the one that has a greater value based on, what is the likelihood that somebody's able, not whether they will, but whether they're able to refer to me or they're able to connect me with other resources who can help me grow my network. So I will kind of just make a personal call based on that. But otherwise, it's 1 point for any activity. So naturally, a day. Yeah. I do naturally weight social media or any sort of mass communication as priority because I feel like, okay, then my reach is further. However, I'm very much a people person, very much into the interpersonal relationship. So right after that, it's calls, it's coffees, it's happy hours, it's events.
I find that wild that you weight social media heavier. As a social media company owner, I find that wild that you put that much emphasis in it. I love it. I mean, my entire prospecting is LinkedIn, right? Like my LinkedIn posting, I can tell you when I'm not posting because our lead gen goes way down. But that's pretty awesome. I could talk to you about this all day. This is
also I think what we're getting at is I think you may be onto something with a weighted scoring system, Jennifer. I think if you were to even do a little bit of a rough draft, I think that's something everyone kind of needs. Is we all look at our week or we look at our day and we go, all right, what's going to produce the most revenue, or what's revenue seeking opportunities, and everyone can have their own weighted skill, but there's probably something to that. So I think you should hold on to it.
Thank you. Yeah, it's helped me to definitely filter out those activities that aren't going to move me forward.
How much is a happy hour point wise?
One point.
1 point. One worth more.
Yeah, I think since a business show, happy hour, happy hour is something it's fun to do with friends, but in terms of business revenue generating opportunities, Alana Mueller, to give her a little bit of a shout out, has done Coffee Lunch Coffee for 15 years. It's been her business in Kansas City, and it's pretty true. I mean, very few deals get done over a happy hour, but they're fun. They are fun. But eventually they just don't. It's hard to gain business out of them.
Listen, I have the opposite result because most of my networking is I'm opposite most people, right? I do almost everything online. So by the time you get me in person, it's so like it's. I feel like you already think you know me so well. By the time you get me in person, that's the next step. And so almost every single one of my happy hours, which I mean, maybe happen once a month if I'm lucky. That's like a business happy hour. It usually is business this almost every time. But that's because I'm showing up on the feed every day and I'm talking to you online every day, and it already feels like we're like this. We've had 2 or 3 Zoom meetings before that.
Well, that's exactly what we're encouraged to do in our business. There's a big push for social media, especially video, because people want to know who they're sharing their financial information with, who is handling their loan, who is walking them through the process A to Z. They want to know that person and the integrity of that person and what they stand for well before they trust them with their business. So it's a pretty important piece of our industry right now.
I am trying to put out a video a day, and I'm going to tell you it's not easy, but it's wild how much people feel like they know you from videos. Scott and I go places and people think that they know us just from this show, right? Much less my videos every day. And I'm like, they're like, no, you've never met me. And I'm like, it's wild. I encourage everyone on here to put out video. I want to read Lacey's comment real quick. She said she turned her coffee shop meetings into a shared co-working space meeting. Industrious is a great spot. I love hosting back-to-back meetings there. I get to intro others and let my network use a space after for their own follow-up. Oh, that's a great idea. And then Chelsea says she completely agrees, Nick. She thinks COVID helped us get away from the death by meetings. Thank goodness. I absolutely agree too. So lots of ways, but I love your weighted scale. I'll probably send you an email after this because
awesome. Please do.
All right, Josh, what was the question? Oh yeah. How do you manage your time?
Kind of to piggyback on what Jennifer was stating, I got a couple different ways that I value my time, but first and foremost, I'm an early riser. I find that, especially being in a leadership role, that a lot of the time that you need to think and to strategize and to think creatively, for me personally, happens in the morning. I go to the park, walk my dog, and just listen to podcasts, audiobooks, etc., and just try and get my wheels spinning. And I had a unique experience where I was early in my sales career where I rolled out of bed and showed up to a meeting that ended up costing me financially, and I made sure that never happened again. So I like being able to get up and have my mind think about what the day looks like, think about how I'm going to strategize the day. And sometimes that's earlier than others, but I'm a fairly early riser. That's one way. And then I segment my days. So I make my Mondays primarily, unless it can't be moved to another day. I make it a strategy and focus day for the first half of my day, because having a prospect meeting at 9 a.m. on a Monday, the prospect they've got stuff that they're trying to figure out at the same time. And so segmenting my days, and then I have a few non-negotiables. I am home with my son every day at 5 o'clock because I only got 2 hours of window time. So getting that head start on the day for me is important in order to make sure that I'm getting all my ducks in a row, making sure that everything is in order here in the office, and I can get out in time to be home by 5. So I get those few hours.
How do you, your business is taking off, and I know you have multiple businesses, but one thing that I've talked about with you is how do you decide what meetings you're going to take? Because I think, when I look at Jennifer's business, Nick's business, and Aaron's business, and my business, you can make an impact on all of our businesses. So how do you decide, or your company decide, what you're going to focus on and who you're going to meet with?
Great question. I think one of the things that, if I reverse back a little bit, when I first started in my basement, as a solo guy, I started to think about, what does this look like at scale? How does this, you're always dreaming big. You're always shooting for the moon if you're an entrepreneur. And so I think the biggest asset that I have as a business owner and as an entrepreneur is the people that I've been able to surround myself with. So the team that we have here internally, I trust them full-heartedly to go do any action, have any meeting with or without me. I could leave for weeks at this time, and this thing still runs the same way. So from there, it's just, like you said, it's kind of weighing it out a little bit and seeing what's the level of opportunity, what's the size of opportunity, who is the person that we're meeting with, what level of depth are they going to be needing educated on from an artificial intelligence perspective, and where do I provide the most value? I'm not the best salesman in my company. There's people that are better than me, but there's areas that I can bring to connect and maybe educate a little bit more, or help connect the dots for that business. So it's really just on a case-by-case scenario.
Like it. How long have you had this company?
ATS has been since 2000. So April 1, 2020, I was working for an artificial intelligence software company, and they shifted their business model from having a direct sales team and went to a reseller model and having partners. And 120 of my coworkers and I all of a sudden were let go. I was fortunate enough at the time to have some relationships still within the company. They're a Silicon Valley, California-based company, and acquired one of the 3 reseller licenses that were available, and that was how our company started. So,
and how many employees do you have at this point?
15 W-2s with another 5 independent contractors, and then we do some contract work for other projects like websites and some other design stuff.
I'm always obsessed with somebody that's had their company under 5-10 years when they say I could leave for weeks and the company still runs on its own. I always think that's really impressive, because there's so many companies that mine can't, and we've been around for 7 years. So I'm always very impressed with that. So good job.
Out of the 15 W-2 employees, 4 were groomsmen in my wedding.
Oh, wow.
So if that tells you anything about handpicking who I've worked with, one's my brother, one's guys that I've known for 25 years that I've worked with in other jobs. That one of them used to be a pharmacist and wanted to get out of the pharmacy game, and now he's an incredible asset for us, just from a business mind, from being able to analyze things and give a different perspective. So it all starts with your people. Take care of your people, and everything else takes care of itself.
That's pretty cool. It also, I think it all starts with your people, but I also think as an entrepreneur, you have to let go of control, and that takes a long time for some people.
It's hard. It's really hard. I remember the pivotal moment when I just said, hey, I can't be the one doing every single demonstration anymore. I can't be involved on all of these calls. And, thankfully it was something that I had really good mentors and really good leaders that helped guide me down the path to where I was setting myself up all along the way to hand it off. And so I was building the company that way of, hey, look, everything that we're doing, I'm trying to teach you so that you can teach somebody else. And that's the only way that we saw scale happening for us, which has worked out for us.
That's cool. We have more questions over here about your company. I'm going to come back. First, I want Nick to answer the question about, Nick, how do you prioritize, as the busiest man in Kansas City, how do you prioritize your time?
Well, I have a singular calendar. I don't have a personal or a work calendar. I use my work as both. So just from a timing perspective, I try to keep 9 to 4 dedicated to work only. Of course, lunch, sometimes I'll have lunches, but I try to make sure that window of time is dedicated to everything dynamic logistics. And obviously I have 4:00 meetings and after as well with West Coast prospects. When I was on the sales side, it was like regimented. It was like 8:30 to 11:30, I'm doing my cold calling. Then I take lunch, and then 1 to 3:30 cold calling, 3:30 to 4:30 prospecting. Now that I am in a management role, I have to work my prospecting and the stuff I do on that side around the team meetings and around prospects meetings. So Sunday evenings is kind of my planning time. So I look at what we go over, and then Monday morning I meet with my vice president, and we go over who's going to take what meeting for the team that week. And then once that's kind of decided and I know what is on the calendar for the week as far as work is considered, then I start doing my time blocking for my own personal sales. So everything for me is all about time blocking. If it's not on my calendar, it will not get done. And like I think I said it earlier, it's the most valuable thing I have is my time. So I want to make sure that it's being used in the activities that I know are going to lead to the best outcomes from a work standpoint. And then from a personal standpoint, like I said before, I try not to overschedule. So there's no coffees Mondays and Fridays. All coffees are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursdays. Happy hours I try to keep to Wednesday, Thursdays, just for not over drinking purposes, basically. So,
you know what I find interesting that we didn't talk about a little bit earlier, but a lot of times good salespeople, which you are not good sales managers, but it sounds like you really developed that management skill. So how hard was that, and how are you making that work? Because a lot of times I think it fails.
It does, yeah. It's not always, I had a few team members that I played out in San Diego in college, and they played for Tony Gwynn, who's one of the greatest hitters that's ever lived. And they would try to get help from him, and he would just throw a tee at him and say, "That's how I learned how to hit." Like, he could not actually deconstruct why he was so good and then teach that. And so I had always done teaching. I taught lessons, I coached baseball. I did a lot of that stuff leading into being in my career. And when I got promoted at my previous company into management, I did a lot of finding mentors, taking sales leadership classes, because there's all this professional development for salespeople until you get promoted, then you get left on an island. And so I've made sure, I do outside, actually, Dr. Katie Irvin, I go through her leaders cohort, which is amazing, and Catalyst Development is fantastic. I've made sure that I was training myself up, not from just a leadership standpoint, but from a managerial standpoint. And I think it does help that I was really good in the role, so I do gain that respect from my team already. But I have built systems and processes that are repeatable, so it is a little bit easier, thankfully, to kind of lay that out for the team. So I was thankful I kind of documented that, and I'm also very thankful for my boss, because he kind of helps me in my development as well, just internally, and how to manage all of that. And I'm not just on an island by myself.
I like that. Yeah, you seem to be doing really good at that. So awesome. Okay, I want to ask a quick question really quick that the audience, one of the things I think we've gotten a little away from, just because I don't know why, because we have such great questions, Scott. But if you're watching the show and you ever have questions, just pop in here. We will ask them. Toby said, how is Project X using AI in the medical/healthcare space, Josh?
Yeah, so great question. With Project X, it's the principle of Project X is what we call the anything platform. So we have the ability to attach anything. We have the ability to ask anything about the documents that we've attached. And then we have the ability to automate anything. So when you're thinking from a healthcare perspective, some of the use cases you could consider is weighing out. We're working with a specific company right now that has a ton of customer claims, and they go in and review these customer claims for businesses and say they have 100 employees, and 97 of those 100 employees make up the majority of where their benefit costs are coming from, where this company is analyzing all of this data, and they're doing it with a team of data experts, where we could have an artificial intelligence agent that we train on how to analyze all of that data so that it's pre-analyzed for the teams to go ahead and present back to the companies. Is one simple use case, but our platform is literally called the anything platform. So if you could dream it up, we could look at it.
Hence the question of how do you decide where your time goes each day? So it's a crazy deal.
You just always got to figure that out.
Toby, I'd love to take that offline. If you have any other questions, we could get a little bit more specific into your use case, but I'm trying to keep it at a high level without getting too far into the weeds here.
Toby, hit Josh up at the DMs, okay? Let's take that offline. Let's do this. Let's talk about 2023. You guys, I think was it last week or was it 2 weeks ago? We were halfway through the year, which is wild to me, right? So, Jennifer, we'll start with you. We got about 12 minutes left here, so nobody talk forever. But Jennifer, where are you at on your 2023 goals, and what is your plan to close out the year with some killer point system, killer all that, like really make this end of the year the best ever?
Well, I would say from a production perspective, obviously our industry is not what it was the last 3 years. So I think I'm about 70% of the way for mid-year. So, if I stay on the same track, I would get to about 70% of my goal.
Nice.
So, yeah. So, honestly, I'm 3 years into the industry, and considering that we're seeing a lot of people exit the industry, I will take that as a big win. So what I'm doing just to basically set myself up for success, there are certain factors I can't control, given the housing shortage and some of the things we're experiencing in this industry. The biggest thing I have to control is the ability and taking the time to really go out and build relationships and expand my network and provide value and service to others, so that when the market gets a little more normalized, I'm moving. So that's really where I'm focused right now.
How about you, Josh? Where are you on your 2023 goals, and how are you going to close out the year?
Yeah, we've been fortunate to catch a little bit of the artificial intelligence wave or kind of buzz that's been going on as a company. So goals wise, we are pacing to be over 150% for the year on where we're at. So really our focus right now is when things get busy, when everything gets chaotic and your influx of business starts coming in, we have a motto. We kind of get back to the blocking and tackling. So back to the basics, figuring out, are we doing all the little things right? Are we focusing on the details? Everybody can sell, but getting it to execute on what you're selling them and delivering a great experience, that's what differentiates you between your competitors. And so making that onboarding experience different, giving our customers a better experience. And we're leveraging AI internally in order to be able to have more talk time, more face-to-face time with our customers with the limited amount of staff that we've got. And it's been working out fairly good for us.
Of course you're leveraging AI. Why wouldn't you? That's smart. Nick, how about your goals?
Company goals, we are about 80% to our quota as a team in the first 6 months. We've had an absolutely fantastic start to the year. Personally, I think I'm like 40%. My pipeline is 3x what my quota is, and that's about, I'd say probably half of that is active, like things are moving down the funnel. So knock on wood, as long as the deals come through, I should easily hit my quota personally. And then as a team, we might be able to double what our initial goal is. We have one of the largest pipelines we've ever had in company history. We have invested in AI as well outside to draw a top line pipeline. We have marketing rolling for the first time. We have internal business development reps. So we have put a huge emphasis on building the sales engine that's going to create repeatable and scalable results. And it's so far is working really well this year. It's been a fantastic year. And I think we're like 60% above what we did all of last year already. So very, very happy with the results so far.
Well, because of Drinks with Leaders, I think Josh is meeting with one of your sister companies that may help with everything going on in your parent company. So maybe you may be having going like this on your sales because of this little Drinks with Leaders connection.
Love it.
Yeah, but congrats, Nick. That's pretty awesome. The taking over a leadership role and then having that double. That's pretty impressive for year one.
Yeah, I won't take the credit for the first 6 months. I'll take credit for 2024 if we do it again.
Don't let the facts get in the way of the details.
Yeah, nothing. We don't need all the facts for a good story. Stop.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay, we have a few more minutes. I'm going to ask a super random question. Are you guys ready for this?
Yes, I love it, Aaron.
Rep anybody for this in the pre-show. But Nick said he loves good referrals of awesome people he should cover. So everybody give me 2 minutes on somebody you think he should cover and why they would be a good person for him to cover that live in Kansas City. Scott, you go first so I don't throw Jennifer in the hot seat.
Interesting. Well, I always go back to people that I met with recently on who. But have you already covered Urban Rangers, Nick?
Yes, I did a feature on them. I want to say like 4 or 5 months ago in the Celebrating KC one. So that was about the nonprofit.
Yeah,
I got introduced to them by Charlie Lowe, who I think is a board member.
Yeah. So sitting next to Charlie Lowe and this guy that was putting out this awesome vibe, I was like, man, I want to go get drinks with that guy.
Yeah.
And he's a really good guy. I would recommend Matt Moore of Martin City Brewery because he's a community pillar in Martin City. And I would say that would be who I would recommend. And then there's a gentleman named Matt Strands that is the BD guy for a private equity firm in St. Louis that oversees 40 portfolio companies throughout the country. He'd be one as well.
Awesome.
Matt's on my list, so thank you. I need to get back to him. We were supposed to have coffee like 3 months ago. So sorry, Matt. If you're listening, I apologize.
He's definitely listening. Jennifer, your turn.
Okay, couple people, since you mentioned women-led businesses or nonprofits, I would suggest Megan Considine with Goosehead Insurance. She's amazing. I know that Erin mentioned her being a
Her
friend.
lady.
She's an incredible person, just all around. And then second, the founder of Brockature KC, Sharon Payne. She this year raised over $500,000. She has consistently for several years, and it started with a small vision, and it was a small project. It's now turned into this massive production, and not only again are they serving cancer patients in the Kansas City area, but part of their mission is also to help those who've been through cancer to heal from their experience. So she's a remarkable woman.
Awesome. Right before we get to Josh, can you guys put in the comments people Nick should look at as well? We're just going to help out Nick on his awesome endeavor. Okay, Josh, your turn.
Staying on the same theme, I have Karen Halbrook of Halbrook Wood Law. She is a female. Are you familiar with Karen? Nope. She is a business owner, 40 years, lawyer here locally here, and part of the LGBTQ community, and is an incredible human being that would be a great interview for you. She happens to also be my aunt. And then I would also recommend Megan Shepard. Megan Shepard, Scott, you know Megan?
Well, I also know Karen very well too.
Oh, yes. But Megan Shepard is, I worked with her ironically at the former artificial intelligence company, and she started a nonprofit suicide awareness foundation, and it has blown up in the last 4 or 5 years to where they've been recognized at Chiefs games. They do all kinds of really good stuff across the communities. So,
are you talking about Carl's Cause?
Yes.
Yeah, I worked with her husband at Veriship, my last
company. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Tyler Shepard, give him a shout out. He likes it.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
Yeah, Megan's fantastic. So yeah, and I know she started her own business as well, so that they could be a twofer.
Yeah, the interior design. I heard it's hard to get on that wait list.
I know. I'm gonna have to call 2 years ahead of time if I want her to come do something.
That's right.
But okay, I got a few quick names for you real quick. Okay. One of them you already know, Melissa Sherman. She's very quiet. She sits on the board. I don't think you guys know everything she's doing, but she's doing everything. She's doing everything, and she's doing it with a smile and being an awesome mom and an awesome attorney while she's doing it. Kemet Coleman, who's going to open the first Black-owned brewery on Friday. So 2000 Vine Street Brewing opens on Friday. First Black-owned brewery in Missouri to open up. And then Kiki Blackman, who is an Olympic medalist, women's football coach at Olathe East, and also the now owner, used to be coach, but also now owner and coach of the women's professional football team. So there's a few names for you. So please keep putting names over there. We're going to let Nick, he can go back and listen to this and write all these down and start to do that. I want to thank everybody so much for coming on here. This was a fantastic panel. You can connect with all of our panelists right here on LinkedIn. Thank you, Scott, for being an amazing co-host. And thank you to Bank of Blue Valley and Burns McDonnell, as always, for sponsoring this and allowing us to tell great people's great stories. We will see you same time, same place, not next week because it's the 4th of July, but the week after that. Until then, enjoy having a good time next Tuesday with your buddies. And thank you, everyone, for your service. That is in the service. All right. We'll see you later. Thanks, guys.